Go ahead and get started.
Everybody sit down. I got ADHD. I get distracted early. Really. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, when I got the email and they asked me to come back to do the presentation again, I was like, all right, good. And they told me 8 o'clock. I'm like, good Lord. Jeez, the reason I teach night classes at Fresno State. Let me give you all a brief introduction about me. My name is Dr. Malik Raheem. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. And I arrived here 2012, August 2012. When I first arrived here, tell you a little backstory. When I first arrived here for the interview, my department chair and my dean, they both told me that it gets hot here in Fresno, right? Well, I don't know if you all know anyone from Chicago, but the quickest way to tell someone from Chicago is that we're a very, very conceited bunch of people, right? Very conceited. The thing is whenever you say something about some other place, we always compare it to Chicago, right? So one of the things, when they told me it gets hot, I'm like, shit, God, just like, you know, it's get hot in Chicago. But when I came here for the interview, they tricked me, right? The thing is this. When I arrived here, I landed at y'all's beautiful airport with the fake trees in it, where you can walk through, like a tunnel and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is nice. And then I had on my coat because I'm coming from Chicago. When I left Chicago, it was 18 degrees, right? And I'm sure none of you all know what 18 degrees feel like. Some of you all do. Well, let me give you. Oh Lord. I've seen a couple of my students here, so it kind of throwing me off. I'm thinking I'm going to have to give a test at the end. But anyway, the thing about it is when I walked outside of the airport to get picked up, I saw palm trees. It was like 65 degrees. I'm like, oh, this is going to be nice, right? So when I came back after receiving the job to go look for an apartment, they told me it's getting hot. It's like 89, 90 degrees. But it's 89, 90 degrees in Chicago too, but the humidity. And so y'all 89, 90 degrees feel nice because it's dry. So the thing is, I'm walking around and all this stuff. So when we come back in August, in 2012, see, something wrong with Fresno. See, the thing is this, when you all talk about temperature in the summertime, I post on Facebook what you all temperature is in the summertime, and it's always 2 degrees below hell, right? Because it's hot. right? And I, walking around, I'm always complaining, but I don't know if you've been keeping up with the weather lately, but Chicago had what they call a polar vortex, where it was minus 18. Oh, Fresno sure feels good right about now. Okay, well, this presentation, I want to do a little bit of different angle with it. The thing is this, whenever we talk about intimate partner violence, we always talk about stats and different things like that and what's going on in the community, but I wanted to go a little bit from a different angle and try to explain some of the things that's happening in the African American Black community to explain some of the disturbing trends as far as domestic violence. Okay? Let's see if this works. Thing about it is that I'm kind of a jinx because every time I get technology, it never works for me. Hey, there we go. All right. One of the things I'm going to be talking about, and please excuse me, like I said, I have ADHD, so I'm going to dribble every time. But the thing about it is this. I present like I like to be presented to. Okay? And one of the things I do not like is if someone reads something to me. Okay? So, I'm not going to read to you. Okay? Just throwing out that disclaimer. Not going to read to you. Okay? Right? One of the myths in the Black community, and I'm not going to necessarily say a myth, but it's an internalized stereotype that a lot of us have, is the strong, independent, and resilient Black woman. Right?
Right. Stop you need to choir.
Oh, it's kind of rhetorical, but thank you. But the thing about it is this: historically, that has been what's been bestowed upon the Black woman, right? So, like with that going along with all the other issues going on, I'm gonna kind of try to explain some of the issues that's going on in the Black community with intimate partner violence. Now, the thing about it is this: I like to use the term intimate partner violence instead of domestic violence. And the reason I like to use intimate partner violence, I'll get into that later, but statistics show that Black women have a higher rate of intimate partner violence than any other female ethnic or racial group. Okay? Now, let me get into the semantics of domestic violence and intimate partner violence, right? Now, the thing is this: with domestic violence can include anyone in that domestic household, right? The reason I like to use intimate partner violence is because it's more specific, that those individuals are in an intimate partnership, okay, whether it's marriage, domestic partnership, romantic partnership, is more of an intimacy, okay? So the thing about it is, so this discussion, I'm going to use intimate partner violence. Now, a lot of this stuff can be, transcended over to the whole concept of domestic violence, because it can go into cousins, go into brothers and sisters, it can go into brothers and brothers, it can go into a whole lot of different things, okay? But the things I'm going to talk about specifically, I'm going to be specifically talking about intimate partner violence, but the stuff I'm going to be talking about can be transferred over to just about any situation. And though some of you all are not African American and Black, what you're going to see is that some of the things I'm going to talk about can be transferred across different communities. Okay? I know I said I don't like stats, but I have to throw this out. 29% of African American women in 2006 have been involved in at least one incident of violence from an intimate partner. Right? And at least 12% of African American Black men. Okay? Now see, the interesting thing is that what research shows is this. that usually in the black community, the female is usually the aggressor, but she's the most likely to be injured or killed, right? She's the most likely to be injured or killed. African American, like I said earlier, have a disproportionate number of intimate partner homicides. Now, when I read the story, I sat there in my office and cried, right? I cried. The thing is, if you're not familiar with the Marjorie Mason story, I'm going to give you a brief overview, is the fact that beautiful young lady had a boyfriend, and he was beating up on her, right? So much so, the sad part was that he was in law enforcement. And just like so many other intimate partner violence situations, it's escalated to finally homicide. Right? Now, the question is why is this so disproportionate in the African American community? Okay. Give you a quick history lesson. And the funny thing about the history lesson is if you know anything about Carl Jung's theory on counseling, I know some people in here should know it because they had a class with me just this past semester. But the thing about it is he has this thing called collective consciousness, right? And what collective consciousness is this. It's like the DNA memory of your ancestors. Okay? Now, let me give you a quick history. If you're not aware of it, 1865, for the most part, slavery, physical slavery ended, right? But what happened in 1865? 1865 to, let's say, 1955, or better yet, 1965, 100 years, right? 100 years before the civil rights movement even actually really got off the ground and the civil rights legislation was even signed. So for 100 years, still lived under the black code and the Jim Crow law. In the essence of where it's like this, I wouldn't be here. Some of the people that you're sitting around would not be here, right? Matter of fact, a lot of you all probably wouldn't be here. But the thing about it is, it's like this. They had specific designated areas for black people and white people as far as, black people and white people as far as where you're going to eat, where you're going to sit, where you're going to live, and a lot of that is still going on today, right? And then the thing about it is like this. In Chicago, there was this young man, some of you all might have heard of him, his name is Emmett Till. Went down to Mississippi and allegedly whistled at a white woman. Never made it back home. But that kind of stuff, psychological stuff was going on, right? So the thing about it is like this, when you think of it like that, mentally, black men have never had a positive image of themselves. Till we get to media images. When I was a little bitty boy, little bitty guy, little bitty guy, one of the first movies I ever wanted to see was this movie called Shaft. Right? And I begged my mom to take us to go see the movie called Shaft. Because my two older sisters, they always got the movies that they wanted to see, right? All these Disney crap things, right? So when I saw the previews of Shaft, I was like, I gotta see that. So we went to go see Shaft, right? And the thing about it is, one of the greatest things about Shaft was that was the first time, because I had a single mom. And the thing about it is, that was the first time I ever saw a black man in power. So that was ingrained into my memory that that's how a black man is really supposed to be. Take no crap, right? Fast forward, any of you all heard of Chief Keef? Any of you all heard of Jay-Z? He was just here. Anyway, the thing about it is this. These are the images that are being portrayed to black men today, right? Then you fast forward to the black women. What images are they getting fed? I ain't gonna get into all that. So the thing about it is there's this theory called post-traumatic slave syndrome. What post-traumatic slave syndrome is saying is this: while the physical chains of slavery have been removed, the mental and the psychological chains have not. So the mental and the psychological chains are still there. So what it does is it's like it affects every aspect of the person's life. Their social, their interpersonal, their domestic, their international, the way the internalizing of what they think of themselves, the institutional. So all of that stuff is affecting the way the person thinks about themselves. And if you know a little bit about slavery, what you realize is this: slaves were not allowed to have a stable family system. Because at a drop of a dime, you can be sold off. The female stereotypical images. If you look through all of the exploits of the black female, and just about any female in the history of the Western civilization, what you'll find is they basically fall into 4 basic categories, right? The Jezebel. The Jezebel, let me think. The best image that I can put of the Jezebel is my favorite character. There's a new show coming out on BET called Being Mary Jane, right? Or you might be used to the show that's all the praise now, Scandal, right? The thing about it is this: Jezebel, what a Jezebel is she is, unlike what you might think is, she's not. But the thing about it is she uses her sexuality as a weapon to get what she wants, right? So the thing is that's what she thinks, that she kind of manipulates men. Whether she wants them or not, she'll manipulate men. And that's what the media have it today as far as when you look at women in the media today, especially black women, right? Then there's the Sapphire. The Sapphire, there's this old show. No one in here is old enough to have known it, right? No one. No one in here is old enough to know it. It's always going to be one person who's saying, I saw it. This show called Amos and Andy, right? See? I know that. It's still called Amos and Andy. And Amos' wife name was Sapphire. And the thing about Sapphire was she was emasculated. She would always tell them how lazy they are, right? And then if you want to move into more closer to modern times, you ever watch this show called Martin? Gina has this friend called Pam, right? And what she always do is she tell, how, Martin is this little bitty shrimp and he can't do anything. But you always find in all these shows at least one black woman who always say she doesn't need a man. Right? Because she's too independent. She don't need a man. So that is being portrayed, right? So then you come to the part of the man, right? The first most famous Mandy character is the show Gone with the Wind, right? The funny story about that is she won an Academy Award, but because of Jim Crow, she wasn't even allowed to go and get the Academy Award. She had to get a private ceremony to get it, right? But the thing about it is like, if you look through the black shows now, you will see Mandy's. And then, of course, there's the matriarch, the strong black female who's in charge and over the whole family. And if you ever in your life go and see one of my favorite directors, Tyler Perry, you will see every single character one. That was sarcasm when I said Tyler Perry. But the thing about it is this, you'll see all these characters, and just like when I was a little bitty boy and I saw Shaft, and then it personally made an impression on me on what a black man's going to be like, these images are going into black women and making them think that this is how they're supposed to be, right? But, so you won't think I'm misogynistic and messing with just the black female. Let me talk about the black male. First of all, when you watch the media, you'll see the player pimp. And what the player pimp is Well, first of all, let me explain for all you all who might not know. There's a difference between a player and a pimp, right? So let me explain to you all what the difference between a player and a pimp is. First, the player is the guy who has numerous women, but they don't know about each other. Okay? While the pimp is the guy who has numerous women, but they all know about each other, but they cool with it. They fight each other, not him. And I reference you back to the show Being Mary Jane, because once she found out the man she was sleeping with was married, she went and told the wife, but the wife didn't get mad at him. She didn't get mad at him. They sat there arguing with each other. Right? So now that they both know each other, they go into each other's job comparing notes. Well, does he do this to you? Did he tell you he loved you? So it's like the thing about it is now, he started off as a player, now he moved over to the pimp role because she know they both know about the president, but the thing about it is, so they just like me, but the hustler. Didn't want y'all to be able to discriminate, but the hustler is the brother who's out there doing whatever it takes to make sure that he has what it got, to make sure he can satisfy himself. Usually, their name is not starting off with a DR like doctor, Usually they got a big gold chain and they walking around, doing street pharmacology. Yeah. And then there's the intellect. The intellectual is this guy that stands in front of people and theorizes about all these theories about how slavery is connected to the interpersonal relationships of black people today, and they'll sit there and they'll use all these fancy words and anyway, then there's the athlete, right? The athlete is the kind of guy who's got this real nice muscle build. Have you all ever seen the movie Best Man Holiday?
Yes, sounds good.
Yeah. More chestnut, right? Right? More chestnut, right? Y'all, you want to know more chestnut. Well, let me tell you, he ain't all that. But the athlete, you look at, the athlete is the one who's usually really, he's kind of like the male version of the Jezebel. He uses his physical prowess to get the woman. So he doesn't have to be per se an athlete like a football, basketball star, but that's usually how they start off. But they use their sexuality to get what they want in essence. Then they're the Afrocentric. The Afrocentric is the guy who has a conspiracy theory about every single thing, right? And he'll be like, sister, is that coffee you drinking? Man, let me tell you about coffee. It's a conspiracy by a man to try to get you brainwashed. What they do is, they don't use the natural beans from Peru anymore. What they do is, they use these synthesized beans. You know what I'm saying? And they put a little chip into your brain. They can follow you everywhere you go. Yeah. And then they want to also think that cell phones are the secret weapon of the space aliens because they're the lizard people. And you got to walk around with an aluminum foil thing on your head so they won't be able to read your brain waves. And the funny thing about an Afrocentric is this, they so pro-black that if you don't agree with them, you Uncle Tom, right? So you a sellout, so you part of the establishment. That's the difference between an Afrocentric. They're not just looking for just straight black, they're looking for black people to think like them, okay? So like these stereotypical images are usually what's in the media today. And just like as I was a little boy, these get implanted on our black men and black women, these images. And see, the funny thing about it is this. If I was to flip back, let's see if it works. Hey, getting good at this. The black female, not only do these images get impressed on the black female, it get impressed on the black male. So the black male start thinking, well, this is how a black female is supposed to be. So when they sitting around, one of my son's favorite rappers, Lupe Fiasco, right? He got this song, I ain't gonna say the name of the song, but he has this song where he basically talked about how a woman is driving around with her little boy listening to rap music, and the little boy get his image in his mind what a bee is, because his mom keeps talking about, I'm a bad bee, right? So he associates bee with his mom. So every girl he walk around, he looking for a bee, but he really looking for somebody like his mom. But he looking for a bee. So the little girl, she sees the dancers in the video, and she thinks that that's how she's supposed to be, so she started calling herself a bee. So when the little boy meets the little girl, he thinking that the bee's supposed to be like his mom, but the little girl thinking the bee's supposed to be like her. So if you look at it, the little boy thinking the bee's supposed to be like a sapphire, right? Who's independent, who's strong, and all this stuff, while the little girl thinking the bee's supposed to be a Jezebel. So she's running around being a Jezebel, and he looking at her like, that ain't who I want. So he want to control her to make her feel that she got to be more like this, right? But see, the funny thing, funny thing is, the black female, she look at these images in the media, and she start thinking, well, this is how a black man's supposed to be. So if a black man is not like this, he's not a real man, right? So since we all agree in here that I don't fit none of these images, right? We all agree with that, right? Right, so, yeah, okay. Anyway. The funny thing about it is, we were talking earlier about post-traumatic slave syndrome is this. The black male has not had any real male role models. I mean, you probably come and say, well, my brother had his dad, or my sister, and yeah, that's fine. There's always exceptions. I'm not making overwhelming generalizations, right? The thing about it is, when you really look at it, it's like this. For the most part, any black male that was born, I'll say, from 1960 on, has a hard time finding a positive male role model in the media. Unless they go back to historical things where they talk about Dr. Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. Anyway, so the thing about it is, if you listen to hip hop, which so many of our brothers and sisters do, you start thinking what a black man's supposed to be, because that's what they're going to tell you what a black man's going to be, right? So if you start listening to people like Jay-Z, right? What does Jay-Z talk about? Right? Talk about being strong. Talk about how much money he has. I stopped talking about Fresno and about how bad Fresno is, because of the fact, it hurts my heart to say this, one of my brothers lost their mind. You know what I'm saying? We all family here. One of my brothers lost his mind. Kanye West. So I can't really say how when I write home, I can't say, man, Fresno people, woo, Lord, I can't do that anymore. Because my brother Kanye West lost his doggone mind, right? He really compared himself to Nelson Mandela. Besides y'all both being black and male, what else y'all have in common? But all they talk about is money and materialism, right? Because he said that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, they don't have anything to do with him and Kim Kardashian. No, Kim Kardashian fans here, is it? Have you? Okay. All right. We're ready to go talk too bad about it. But he said that everybody watching to see what they come out and wear, so they can change it. Woo. But it's about money and materialism, right? And then it's like about control. It's about control. Because I remember one day when I was on the CTA is Chicago Transit Authority, bus system, right? I was on the bus, I was on the train. And we were on, my son and I, he was a little bitty guy at this time, we were on our way to go see the White Sox play. And the thing about it is this, we were on the train, and this young lady was talking, right? Like, you can talk on the train. There's no law against talking on the train. But she was talking on the train, and the brother was sitting there, and another brother said, man, you better control your woman. right? As in that's what a man's supposed to do. Control your woman, right? So the thing about it is like, you remember that stat I showed you all about the 29% of the black woman and the 12% of the black man? You see, the thing about it is this, I'm not making a joke of it, but if you're going to try to control your woman as a black man and you try to hit her, make sure she can't beat you up. Because, oh, God, know what she did to them. Anyway, then exploiting women, right? Again, I asked, how many of y'all went to the Jay-Z concert? Oh, nobody want to admit it now. But the thing about it is this, if you listen to any Jay-Z song, what is he talking about? Almost all four of these, right? If you listen to just about any hip-hop song with the exception of Mos Def or Talib Kweli, or even Lupe Fiasco or my brother Common, they're not talking about all this, right? But the commercial hip-hop, what you hear on the radio, what they pump it to you and give it to you, they talking about all four of these. So you started associating that this is what makes a black man. Right? So if you have all these, that's what makes a black man. And that's what you gotta have all these to make a black man, right? Now, what makes a black woman? What makes a black woman? She gotta be sexual, she need to be dominated, she got to be weak. Back to my brother Kanye, I swear. Gotta be a gold digger. A side note, how you gonna make a song about they gotta be a commodity, right? So the thing about it is like this, if you ask it, if any of you all ever dated a black man, right? If you ever dated a black man, let me tell you a secret. The thing about it is this, if you date a black man, if you go out on a date with him one time and they don't call you back, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna break a black man's rules, I'm gonna tell you why. Right? The thing about it is like this, the first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna take you and they're gonna walk up to their boys and they're like, hey, yeah, this is my girl, such and such. And if the boy don't be like, damn, she's fine, he gonna leave you alone. He gonna leave you alone. Y'all laugh, but it's the truth because it gotta be a commodity, right? So the thing about it is, it's like this is what the black man internalized on what a black woman is supposed to be like, right? So the thing about it is, if you got those two dynamics going on, what happened? They start clashing. Because the thing about it is, you don't represent a black woman like I think you're supposed to be, because as a black man, I'm supposed to dominate and control you, right? Because of the intergenerational racism that's been going on with slavery that's been carried down, so they substitute a maladaptive thought system on what a black man's supposed to be, right? And then the same thing going on with the black woman. Because they got this dance now called twerking. They trying to say it's from Africa. You didn't know they were going to say England motherfucker from Africa. But when you look at when you look at intimate partner violence, when it comes to the African American community, there's three dynamics that you need to look at, right? The structural, the cultural community, and the situation. Okay? Now, the thing about it is like this. There are basically three forms of racism. Okay? There's the institutional. Josephine, what's the second one?
Cultural community.
You get multicultural country with me and I talk. The first one is institutional. Institutional is the system that's been designed, like the prison industrial complex, the educational system. Well, when you say prison industrial complex, you're talking about the whole criminal justice system. The educational system. These things have been designed, in essence, to keep people of color back, right? So like, when you look at the institutional, that's when you're going to look at a macro versus a micro. The difference between a macro and a micro is a macro is on a higher plane, so it doesn't affect you so much personally, right? But it affects the community. A micro affects the person personally, okay? So there's institutional racism, individual racism, and internalized racism. With the structural context, you're talking more on a macro level when it's more institutional. So these institutional systems help design frustrations that causes some of the behavior that you see in intimate partner violence. Now, little side note, I'm talking someone who is either not cognitively delayed or have a mental health issue as far as mental illness. Okay? But these historical patterns in America, with their oppressive nature, has caused an overabundance of unemployment, undereducation, right? And then also when we go back to the system of post-traumatic slave syndrome, it's also called an intergenerational system of internalized racism. Okay, still early on. Okay, so these are more on a macro level. These are a little bit closer to the micro. Even though they're still macro, but these are closer to the macro because when you look at the social community context, what you have to understand is that a lot of African Americans, men, socialize that a black man has to be superior to his woman, right? And he got to control and he got to dominate, right? So with all those media institutionalized racism that's going on now by them internalizing all this stuff, when you look at the culture and the community context, you have black men who feel that they're supposed to be dominating and controlling because the fact of the matter is, outside of the home, they have no power. So when they come inside the home, they feel they have to have power, right? A perfect example of this is I bought cable when I got out here, right? Because you all don't have no regular independent channel. Just throw that shot at Fresno that one last time. Even though I think it's like around something. But y'all have no really regular independent channel. You just watch TV anymore because where I live, you used to just watch TV, but now the cable company did something where you got to buy a box just to watch regular TV. Hell, I might well get cable. So I'm flipping around watching cable, and this movie come on called Battleship. I didn't hear this movie before. I'm thinking, now what they gonna be doing? Sitting around playing? You sucking my Battleship for B4, A8, you know what I'm saying? I'm just watching it, and then all of a sudden I see Rihanna, right? That's why I see Rihanna. I'm thinking, okay, well, she gonna sing it sooner or later. She gonna start singing because every time Chris Brown in the movie, he sings, right? And I knew they used to date, right? I knew they used to date, but she never sung. But see, the thing about it is this: when you look at the character of Rihanna and Chris Brown, the thing about it is this: when you listen to Chris Brown's explanation of what happened that unfortunate night, all these dynamics come into play. Didn't know his father. Internalized what a black man's supposed to be. She admits she hit him first, but brothers, I know.
It's awesome.
I knew if you always, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, what the heck don't be trying to call me? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. The messed up thing about it is I got a couple of my students in here. And the first thing I do is tell them in class that if I hear your phone ring, that's 10 points out. But if you hear my phone ring, that's 10 points. But anyway, the black man internalized because of the culture in the black community that they supposed to dominate and control their wives or their girlfriend, right? As far as being a black male, the culture context get a status symbol on how tough you are. What's the latest thing they call it now? They don't call it bling anymore, do they? They don't call it bling anymore, do they?
Swag out. Swag.
Swag. They call it swag. Yeah, see. Gotta say, hip to the streets, But the more money you have, the more women you have, the more swag you have, the more of a status symbol you have, right? So like, when I go back to Chicago, I gotta strip off Dr. Raheem, I gotta go back to Malik, Brother Malik, you gotta go back to Brother Malik. You can't go walk around talking about, I'm Dr. Raheem, They don't want to hear that. They, you know what I'm saying? The young brothers out there, when you're trying to help them, they want to hear, they want to hear about, what kind of swag you got, right? So they want to hear your war story, right? So the thing about it is this: in order to get a status among black men, is how exploitive you are toward women. So the thing about it is this: the more women you have, the better you are, right? The prettier the woman is, like I said before, like what, broken black male code, to let y'all know, but you know what I'm saying, they don't see because like they'll let you go, your friends don't say, oh, I have a nephew who honestly thinks Nicki Minaj was good. I'm still checking for blood tests. But the frustration that comes over from the lack of power and the oppression in their lives as far as black men, they project it off to their woman. So a lot of the frustration is displaced by the home. The power has to come into them controlling the household and dominating their partner. Okay? When you look at the situational, that's when you begin to talk about early morning. Institutionalized racism and a cycle of chronic unemployment. And along with the chronic unemployment is a chronic level of poverty and undereducation, right? So the thing about it is this: with all these cycles going on, the African American man is looking for their own definition of black manhood. So while they're looking for their own definition of black manhood, they're looking at maladaptive behavior to define themselves as black men. Okay? So just like the little bitty boy who went to go see Shaft, right? And I don't think I told you already, but I didn't know white people existed until I was 10 years old. Living in Chicago. I never saw a white person before until I was 10. Right? And the thing about it is, every time I saw white people on TV, because one of the first things I saw, I actually saw a white person on, that they weren't friendly, because of course you watching reruns of the Andy Griffith Show, and Barney's wife and Andy look so friendly and all this stuff. One of the first time I ever saw a white person, my cousin like, oh, they mean, white people are mean, they kill you to do this. And I'm like, no, they older me, but I'm thinking that they must know. But at the same time, I'm thinking white people are like Bigfoot, right? They really don't exist. Nobody really saw them. So when I saw the movie Roots, I was like, man, they mean. So when I went to a Catholic school, the first white person I saw was like, oh my God, they do exist. So when I went to go see Shaft, and he was fighting the white people, that made me think, well, that's how you're supposed to be, a strong black man, right? So that crazy cycling. So I used Shaft to define my definition of what a black man's supposed to be, right? And the same thing is going on now with a lot of media outlets that are doing this now. They're looking for their own definition on what a black man's supposed to be. So when they look for their own definition for a black man, a lot of times they become maladaptive because of the fact that they think that, luckily, I grew out of the Shaft thing. because if you really watch Shaft, he was kind of misogynistic. He was kind of misogynistic, and he was, I don't know, he cursed a lot. I don't curse, do I? You got me next semester, so better say no. But the thing about it is that, so like, eventually I grew out of the Shaft phase and grew into the Malcolm X phase, right? But Malcolm X phase is a whole different story. One day I'll be able to make Hodge, but that's a whole different story. But see, the thing about it is this, what we start doing is we start trying to find manhood in our own terms, and usually it comes out to toughness, sexual conquest, and manipulation, depending on who you define as a black male, right? So the thing about it is, if these dynamics are going on, and you trying to have control, and then you got this sister who's been internalizing that she's a strong black woman, an independent black woman, is going to be, oh well. So the thing about it is this, see, when they close the doors, I start talking loud. That wouldn't help. So the thing about it is this, when you got this vicious cycle just going around, right, and you all know the cycle of violence, right? Right. So, as counselors, future counselors, what's the best way to address some of these issues, right? Because see, I didn't think it was right being a professor of counseling and coming here and tell you about all these dynamics and all these problems without trying to help give you certain things, key things for solutions. One of the first things that you can do, of course, is be multicultural competent. To understand the culture of the person that you're dealing with, right? Now, multicultural counseling does not mean that you have to take your own values and throw them out the window and start saying my values don't count. But what it does mean is this. What it does mean is this. Your values at that moment does not matter. It's your... No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. It claustrophobic in here. But anyway, your values at that moment is not the issue. It's your client's values. So you have to find out what your client's values are and go from there. Go from where they're at. And one of the most important things is establish a therapeutic relationship. Now the thing about establishing a therapeutic relationship is this. Every time you have that person as a client, you have to make sure you have a client. So just because you established a relationship last week does not mean you have a relationship this week. Okay? Because a lot of things happen in between counseling sessions. And one of the best ways to establish a relationship is what I call the invitation for repair. Right? And what the invitation for repair is this. Usually I get a volunteer. And Ms. Wilburn's kind of smiling, hoping I don't pick her, but it doesn't matter. I'll do it myself. Does nobody want to help assist me? That's cool. I'll do it on my own. Because no one wants to help assist me. And not a hand went up saying, I'll do it, Dr. Raheem, fine. But the thing about it is this. When you have an invitation for repair, what you do is, you have to sit down like you do in counseling. The fake empty chair, because ain't no other chair there, and nobody else sitting here. So if I was a counselor, what I would do is this, I would tell them, as we sit here, I can see that there's some obvious differences between us. So if they're a female, you say because I'm a male, because I'm black, or because you're black, whatever, right? But there might be some invisible differences. And those differences might make it to where I can't fully understand what you are coming from. So if any time you feel that I'm not getting exactly what you're saying, please stop me and correct me and help me understand. Because the thing about it is this. What you'll find is in a lot of cultures, especially in the African American community, authority authority is supposed to be respected. So the thing about it is one of the key ways to disrespect authority is to correct it. Because you'll be looked at as being belligerent. So if they're sitting there, and counseling is not in the DNA of black people anyway. So if they're sitting there, they're thinking, how do I get out of here? Right? So when they sit there and they start hearing that you're going to do everything you can to understand their perspective and that they have a right to correct you, that opens the door. It puts them more at ease. The second thing is what I call the invitation for safety. Okay? And the invitation for safety is basically this. If you ever did counseling with a victim or perpetrator of intimate partner violence, they would deny. They would deny. They would tell you, no, it's not this is what happened. Oh no, I fell. Oh no, it's not that. No. So what you do is you take their story, what they tell you, you accept it, and you let them know, wow, I'm glad you clarified that for me. Because my initial fear was that you was going through an intimate partner violence situation. But if that ever happens, I just want you to know that your situation, this room, is a safety to where you can discuss anything and you won't be judged. Okay? So the thing about it is this, you don't want to come out and tell them, why are you lying to me? Why are you lying to me? You know good and well you didn't get your black eye from driving. You don't want to do that. Because what they're going to do is shut them down. But see, the thing about it is, if you accept what they're saying and get an invitation for safety, the safety is that in this counseling session, that they are safe to discuss anything that they want to discuss without being judged. Because the thing about it is, one of the biggest fears, whether you are dealing with the perpetrator or the victim, the biggest fear is that they're going to be judged. Because you know what I'm saying? When you take off your counselor hat, and you're your girlfriend, and you're like, girl, why you with him? If you're talking to another brother, you're like, hell, I would have treated you better than that. you know what I'm saying? No, you with him. That just show how good you were. Because I offered you to go out, and you didn't want to go out with me. I would treat you better than that. Since he's doing you like that, hey, let's go to the movie. So the thing about it is, they're gonna feel they're gonna be judged.
And that's really how I go too.
I hope you're not speaking from personal experience.
I'm just saying.
Hey.
We keeping it real here, right? That's how it goes.
So the thing about it's too early. The thing about it is this. So if you're the counselor, what you want to do is create an atmosphere that's non-judgmental, right? And make them feel to where they are safe to discuss anything. And let them move at their own pace. Right? Another thing you can do is during the establishing relationship, once you start feeling that you got them safe, once you do that, start finding soft little contradictions in their story. Right? By using what I call the Columbo effect. Right? Wait a minute, something don't make sense to me. Help me understand this. What's your name, sister? Joanna. Okay. Yesterday you told me that your boyfriend wasn't at home when you fell. But today you're telling me that when you failed, he was the one that picked you up and took you to the hospital. I'm kind of confused. Help me understand that. So like when you start hearing contradiction in their story, what you do is you use the Columbo effect. Even though you might already, even though she really didn't tell me that, I had to explain about this, she didn't tell me that. But see, the thing about it is you might already know what you are assuming what the answer really is. But the thing about it is by using the Columbo effect, what you're doing is you're taking the one step down approach where you no longer become the expert, where you want to let them know that they have safety to be able to discuss anything they want. And a lot of times, trust me, you really have to establish a relationship. But once they start realizing that there's contradictions, what they'll start doing is coming more open. Especially when you do the invitation for safety. Okay? Help them improve their decision-making skills. Okay? Now, just like the sister said, brothers, decision-making skills don't include, well, you go out with me. That's not the decision-making skills. You might be Prince Charming, right? But one of the decision-making skills is this. It's helping them find out, one, what is it that they actually want, right? Two, what are they doing about it, right? Then, whatever they're doing about it, how is that working for them, right? Three, well, what is your plan to make sure it gets put into action, right? So the thing about it is this, when it comes to interpersonal relationships, a lot of our stuff is about choices. So if you know what you want, then what you're doing about it, the thing about it is this, all my students know that I have a big crush on Nia Long, right? Now, while I have a big crush on Nia Long, the thing about it is like this, if you were to ask me what am I doing about it, I'll say I'm watching all her movies. Okay, well, how's that working out for me? Not too good. She hasn't called yet. You know? So since she hasn't called yet, well, what are you planning to do to help that in action? Well, I do got a restraining order, so I can't really go to her house anymore, right? But see, that's the thing you want to look at, where like, one, what do they want? What are they doing about getting what they want? How would you evaluate what you are doing? And then what is your plan to get actually what you want? Help them make a plan on getting what they want. I had a student come to me. Student didn't come to my office all semester last semester. They come to my office once. At the end of the semester, come to my office and, you know, because they come to my office, they say, Dr. Raheem, I really want an A. You knew notice the end of the semester. All your stuff been turned in. Well, I really want an A. Well, what did you do about that? Well, I did miss a couple of classes. I did miss a couple of assignments. Okay. So how do you think that's going to work out for you? Well, I heard that you were kind of nice, so I was hoping I could come and talk to you. Okay, well, unless you have cash, this not going to work out too well for you right now. Okay? Conflict resolution, right? One of the biggest elements of conflict resolution, what people don't tell you is, sometimes it's okay to walk away. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make you weak because you walk away. Sometimes a stronger person walks away. Okay? So it's like, the thing is this. Now, I know I'm simplifying this, because in a lot of intimate partner relationships, when there's violence involved, sometimes walking away and leaving is not an option, right? Because of that fear. So sometimes walking away is not an option, right? But at the same time, the thing is this. Sometimes you got to clean out all the garbage you had from past relationships so they won't carry over to the next relationship, right? And learn coping skills on the next relationship so those ugly four horsemen won't come into your new relationship. And those four horsemen of the apocalypse, they'll destroy any relationship at any time, right? Challenge their black masculinity and femininity stereotypes. When they come in, they start talking, you start asking, what's a black man to you? What's a black man supposed to be like? What's a black female look like? And start challenging those things, right? Was that always the case? Do all black women supposed to act like this? Do all black men supposed to control and dominate their woman? Right? I remember one day, I got all these stories, but one time we were on a bus. Not here. Y'all bus system is horrible. We was in Chicago, my son and I, he was a little bitty guy. And for some strange reason, he always looked up to me as his role model. That's why that poor kid is so messed up right now. But he looked up to me, so like the thing about it, we on the bus, and he's sitting by the window seat, because, for some reason, little kids like to look out the windows. So he looking here in the window seat, and after the bus started getting crowded, so this young lady gets on the bus, right? So I offer her a seat, right? And she looks at me and say, no, no, thank you. Now, brothers, side note, women code. If a woman say, oh, no, no, thank you, no. She really trying to find out if you're going to really get up, right? She really wants you to press. So the thing about like, no, 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 come on, sit down. No, 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 thank you. So first I was like, cool, I ain't going to beg nobody because I'm tired. So I just stood up and said, no, come on, sit down. So she said, thank you. That's how I knew it was all front. So she sits down. And then my son stands up and comes and offers another lady a seat. Right? I'm like, I can go sit down. He's like, no, no, no. I want to be like you, Dad. So he stands up too. So these two young girls, because the school just now, these two young girls said, ugh, that's weak. I never have a man do that for me. Right? Turn out with a black masculinity book. Right? So you challenge that. Okay? People can change. Counseling is about growth and development. People can change. Right? Now see, the thing about it is this. The person has to accept the process of wanting to change. But people can change. Everyone can change. Right? Some will take more work than others, but everyone can change. Make sure when you're doing counseling with anyone, especially victims of intimate partner violence or perpetrators of intimate partner violence, you start where they're at. Whether their racial identity, how they identify themselves, their gender identity. Find out where they're at and start where they're at. And build off of those blocks. Community influence. Another good way of dealing with, especially perpetrators, is group work. Right? Because see, the thing about it is this. What happens is the group will set the standards of what's going on. So whether it's the victim or the perpetrator, the group will help with the counseling session. So it's like if you look at the dynamics of group, eventually, although you might be the group leader, what you'll find is in group dynamics, the leader must fall. So when the leader falls, other people start stepping up, and as a group starts saying, well, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to act like that. And so what you start finding is that they get more from their peers than they will from you. Because see, the thing about it is this, well, they're going to look at you as this expert. You're clinical, you're an expert. What do you really know? You don't know what my life is like, but their peers will. Right? And then, when you're dealing with...
My mom goes through it, so that's normal. So it's almost as if, that cycle just continues, because now she's going to do what she see her mom do. So now but because her mom has been abused, now she's going to go through that. So, I mean, it's not only the media, we have Housewives of Atlanta and Love and Hip Hop and all that. And all that's just entertainment. It really is just entertainment. That's not reality. What I like to tell people anyway, a lot of my younger cousins that think that's just how they're going to move to Atlanta and they're just going to party and go to clubs. That's not reality, in my eyes. But the issue that I have is that the cycle kind of continues, because if you don't grow up in the household where you see like your dad going to work, your mom going to work, and that stability and that stable environment, it's really hard to kind of get that stable environment because you don't know what it is, you don't know what it looked like. So to you, it might be, the stable environment might be the mom getting beat up by the boyfriend, and then they make up, they kiss, and then now they're happy, and then now you get a boyfriend, and he does the same thing, and it becomes like, well, my mom did it, so it must be the right thing to do. So that's what frustrates me. So when you were talking about, the media and things, I was just thinking of all the, clients that I have, and all the girls that I mentor, and it's just a pattern, and it's a cycle with how they grow up in the household.
What happens a lot of times is what I call the Gabrielle Union Dwayne Wade syndrome. And what I mean by that is, now there's a report out. If you don't know about Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, Gabrielle Union met Dwayne Wade when he was married.
Yeah.
They started dating. So Dwayne Wade left his wife to be with Gabrielle Union, right? So Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade were dating and they were all together and all this stuff. So somehow Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade had a break. They had a break. And now Dwayne Wade fathered another baby by another woman. Right? So once the report was getting ready to come out, Dwayne Wade bought this $500,000 rock to put on Gabrielle Union's hand, and now they engaged. So as soon as they got engaged, now all of a sudden the report come out that he fathered another child. But it's too late now, she accepted the ring. Right? It's too late now. Now the report that Gabrielle Union is saying is my fault. They cheated. And so what you'll find a lot of times is for people who don't understand necessarily what exactly is going on, they'll internalize the blame to where they'll say, well, I got him upset. If I didn't do this, he wouldn't have did that. Right? So they got the Gabrielle Union Dwayne Wade syndrome to where it's like the victim becomes the fault man. And so so all of a sudden the perpetrator, they relinquish all their power to where it's your fault. See, if you wasn't talking to that guy, I wouldn't have did that. And then it's like, yeah, well, you know, I'm a little flirty, so I can't flirt like that. See, I told you not to wear that dress because now these guys are looking at you. You know, see, if your phone didn't ring in the middle of that presentation, I wouldn't have hit you. So then you would internalize that saying, well, yeah, that's true. Because it's like the cycle, like you said, the cycle of violence, what she's probably seeing is the same thing happening in the home. To where he'll come back and say, you know I love you, and if you didn't do this, I would have lost control. All you gotta do is not do this. She's like, yeah, you're right. And so she hears that. And so you got a whole lot of individuals who believe that, well, if he doesn't hit you, he doesn't really love you.
And it's unfortunate. And another thing is, I know where I grew up at, in the low income arena. They don't go to counseling. Like even my family, I was speaking to parents. A lot of my, younger cousins, when they have issues in their family, they call the grandpa or, they'll call my dad because they're considered the older people, so they're considered the one that are more wiser. They're not going to go check in at the local counseling session unless they have to, unless it's mandatory. If something happens and maybe the police came out and they caught the boyfriend beating up on the girlfriend. Now what? Now you have to go. Now you're court ordered to go. So, and that's another issue. I mean, you don't really see a lot of people saying, man, we need help, we need to go to counseling. You just don't see that.
Because of stigma.
Right.
Because of stigma. Because the thing about it is counseling, you go to counseling, something like that.
Exactly.
You have a mental illness. Then you also have the issue of, the thing about it is, in the past, your race and your culture was considered a mental health condition. And what I mean by that is if you're Latino or Latina, if you're black, and that black includes African Caribbean, African American, Native African, you're considered to have a mental illness because of the fact that you're Latino, you're black. So like the thing about it, as soon as you walk in, they look at it where like they're using this standard of mental health, and they're comparing you and your culture to that standard. So it's like they feel that, well, they don't even look like me, so they're not going to understand me. Right? So that's why it's so important to understand the concepts of multicultural counseling and the dynamic, because the thing about it is like this. Now you're creating that safety in that counseling session where the next 50 minutes, don't get scared, I'm not going to sit up here and talk for the next 50 minutes, but the next 50 minutes is going to be about you. So whatever you want to discuss. So the thing about it is once you open up the floor like that and you encourage them to discuss the issues that they want to discuss, of course they're going to come in with an intake sheet. And when they start coming in there and say, well, the only problem I have is that LeBron James left Cleveland. You're like, wow, that's interesting. I really want to hear more about that, but let me ask you something. when you filled out the intake sheet, you said the judge ordered you here. They ordered you here because LeBron James was right? Then they like, well, you know, I'm a big basketball fan, and LeBron James left Cleveland. I'm like, so you upset about that? Like, yeah, he should left Cleveland. Like, well, let me ask you a question. You had your opportunity to have millions of dollars live in Cleveland, or millions of dollars live on South Beach in Miami. Which one would you choose? I'll probably go to South Beach. Well, why you mad at LeBron James? but the thing about it, what you have to do is you have to make them feel safe and get them to open up and make sure they understand the next 50 minutes about them. But at the same time, you got to use tricks to get them to talk about why they're there. Okay? By using that one step down. Because the thing about it is I thought you were going to say something totally different, because see, the thing about it, what I found is that don't go. And then the first thing I found out is that once I got my master's in counseling, everybody wanted free counseling. Everybody wanted free counseling. You know? What the heck? Free counseling. I got student loans.
Right?
Free. You know? The man talking about, well, you know, since you're a counselor, maybe you can counsel the congregation. You know, for Seneca, for a law. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. You know, but the thing about it is that everybody wants, that's what I thought you were going to say. Everybody wants free counseling. Everybody wants free counseling. But you're right. In the community, there's a distrust about mental health professionals in the black community. Not only do they not only go to the elders in the family, they go to the church. And unfortunately, a lot of the pastors aren't equipped to handle the issues that come in.
I just had a comment. I just wanted to say thank you for being the mentor, because I know that area is very hard.
Yeah.
And the whole purpose, I'm thinking, in my opinion, the whole purpose of this training is to actually break the cycle.
Right.
If you can at least get to one person,
Right.
maybe that person can get to two persons, and that's how you start a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a broken home when I was young, so that's why I'm here. Years later, you know, I had this in my mind to do this, and now I'm here. So this is to break the cycle. That's what I believe. So let's do it.
So just like in the black community, there's a sense of misogyny going on and sexism. In the Latino community, there's machismo. I knew that. I've been down here long enough. Y'all think I knew that. But the thing about it is, it's the same dynamic, to where like the male dominated and the man feels that he got to dominate and control the household, right? So the thing about it is that it's a vicious cycle. So like a lot of times the culture internalizes those things, and it helps contribute to some of the dynamic. Now that doesn't make it right. It doesn't excuse it for the least bit. But it's like it helps you to kind of understand.
Or like you said, that male dominant way, I guess, or belief is through a lot of cultures too. I'm Armenian, and the old country guys that come over from the Armenia, they that's what they believe, and the women believe that too. So unless there's one little shining star in the family that says this is not right, you know, you should be home doing this while he's out, you know, or doing this and this and this. So it's kind of across cultures too.
But see, the thing about it is, it's an interesting dynamic in the black culture. And one of my favorite comedians, Matt, thank God I don't have much in it. So one of my favorite comedians told a story, you know, and I can tell y'all the story, right? And the thing is that, you know, one day, you know, I picked up the phone, I called home, I'm like, hey, when I get there, you better have my dinner made, my bath water made, the TV on, and my paper ready. No, don't be asking me where I'm at. Don't be asking me where. Don't be asking me where I'm at when I'm getting home. When I get there, now put your mom on the phone. no matter how dominant the man is, you know, he,
Sorry.
it wasn't just me. At the same time, it's like this bi-dynamic going on where they still scared of their female. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times what you'll find is the air of dominance is around their boys, right? But when it comes down to it, it's like they scared of their female, right? So the thing about it is like that's where that strong, independent woman comes in because she's masculine. Because the thing is like I said, it's like in the black culture, as far as victims are concerned, the black male is more likely to be the victim, but the black female is more likely to be injured.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So the black male, the black female, a lot of times is the one that usually starts the fight, right? But the black male is usually the one who injures the black female. So it's like the thing about it, the interesting dynamic with the African American black community is it's a big vicious cycle to where it's like you can't just singly put it on just the black male to stop the intimate partner violence because the black female is the perpetrator as well. Because see the thing about it is she's internalized some of them images of what a black male is going to be, and then she'll start because intimate partner violence don't necessarily have to be physical. It can be psychological. And she can start to emasculating them. You ain't a real man. You ain't a real man. Who are you? You ain't a real man. And then he feels he got to prove he's a real man. The only way he can prove he's a real man is what we hear. Because he internalized that he has to have control over his female and dominate. Yes.
I have a question. It's kind of more of a general counseling question, but you were talking about improving decision-making skills. So once you sort of gain the client's trust, what do you do if they just say they just don't know what they want? They just, I don't know what to do. I don't know to leave. I don't know if I want to stay. Like, what if they don't know what they want? How do you handle that?
By dealing with them on what developmental stage they're at. So if they're at the point where they don't know what they want, that's cool. Don't press them. But what you'll find is very few people don't know what they want, right? They just don't want to tell you what they want, right? Because the thing about it is like they still don't feel that sense of safety yet. I'm telling you what they want. Because in actuality, what they might want is, I want him to change. I want him to be the Prince Charming because I still want to be with him. That might be what they want, but they feel you're going to judge. Now, there's times when you got a person who actually don't know what they want, and I would say don't press them on that, and just kind of keep working around that on some of the dynamics of your just listen for little clues. Because see, the thing about it is what you'll find is when you're dealing with just about any client, especially a client that is suffering from intimate partner violence, they'll throw out feelers, right? They'll throw out feelers. And one of the things that they'll throw out is it's like, before you even get them to even admit that there's an issue going on, it's to throw out a feeler to see how you're going to react to it. It's just like if you're dealing with someone who want to come out as far as their sexuality, they'll throw out a feeler. If you want to find somebody who want to talk about spirituality, they'll throw out a feeler just to see how you're going to react. And what you got to be is in tune to those certain feelers that they're going to throw out and be ready to be open for them. Because I guarantee you, one of the things they want is for the treatment to stop. They don't want to keep getting psychologically abused. They don't want to keep getting emotionally abused. They don't want to keep getting hit. They don't want to keep that. That's one of the things they definitely want. But they probably just don't feel comfortable enough and safe enough or have enough self-efficacy in themselves to say that out loud to you yet. So you just keep working with it. And it's like, if you haven't noticed, one of the things I like to do is tell stories. And one of the big things in the African American community is storytelling. So it's like you can always, self-disclose. Now, you might not have had an intimate partner violent relationship in your own, but you might be able to self-disclose some things that, I couldn't imagine to be in a situation like you were. can you tell me a little bit more about your survival skills or what's going on with you? Help me understand that. Let's talk about that. Let's deal with the things that are going inside of you, because I would be a nervous wreck. And then they open up to you. Well, it's rough at times, because it's like when the sessions first start, they're going to be feeling guilty. They're going to have the Dwayne Wade Gabrielle Union syndrome, but they're going to be blaming themselves. And then they're not going to necessarily want to see the perpetrator in trouble.
Or it could be the perpetrator, could be the breadwinner, the one that pays all the bills. I've seen that a lot too.
And the fear.
Yeah.
So as far as them not knowing what they want, you just keep working on building that relationship with them, and keeping building a safety with them as far as that office space that you have. You know what I'm saying? And just building a safety to where, but don't press them, because they might not know what they want. But if I was a gambling man, I'd be willing to bet you that one of the things that they want is for the emotional, the psychological, and physical abuse to stop. That's one of the things I'd be willing to. If I was a gambling man, I would bet that. But since I'm not a gambling man, because for some strange reason I thought the San Antonio Spurs was going to beat the Miami Heat, and I lost lunch on that.
You spoke about media images, and I just wanted to comment that I think that's something that really impacts kids. Because I've worked with a lot of kids. I've been in college readiness workshops, law school preparedness workshops, been a tutor, and even a teacher in schools. For kids, it's really that they want to be successful, and they're looking for images of success of people who look like them. So they see a rapper, or they see a basketball player, and they see that they have money and they have the success and they have the ability to travel, and that's what they want, as opposed to just, so they fill out for those avenues. A lot of my younger male cousins, they see athletic as opposed to going to college and getting a postgraduate degree. One workshop that I hosted, I was an African Studies minor, and I was the president of our association, and we did a workshop at a high school conference where our students, we gave them each a strip of paper with a Black history fact on it, and before we had them read the facts, we asked them, what do you know about Black history? So how many hands went up? They were about like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, which are great examples, but it didn't expand past that. So we provided them with facts related to African civilizations, medical discoveries, engineers, a large variety. And it was like a light bulb of me seeing how they responded positively to that. So I think media images are have a significant impact.
I agree. But I would say that it has a significant impact no matter what the mental modification is. You can be as old as 7 and you can impact and still have a major effect on it. Because it's like it's a reason, just an example, there's a reason that after September 11, 2001, to everyone they showed was Muslim. What you don't know is like here in the United States, actually, Muslims that are Arab are a minority. But like if you think of Muslim, that's what you would, first thing come to mind. One of the fastest growing populations in the United States as far as converting to Islam is African American. Then the second fastest is Latino. But see, they won't tell you that. Right? So it's like every time you see someone, when they say, oh, Al Qaeda did this, and they show you an image of a person that's from like North Africa or from the Middle East or from Pakistan. So it's like you will associate someone who looks like that as a terrorist. So you still think that way. So the thing about it is like even
on Facebook. I admit I got a Facebook account, but I have all these great debates about the significance of the Olivia Pope character, this game. Because if you ever hear black women discuss Olivia Pope, they'll leave off the fact that she is quote unquote a side chick. They'll get mad at you. Why you just call her a side chick? She's intelligent, she's independent, she has her own business. Yeah, but she's sleeping with a married man. Right? But they look at her like she's a positive black female image. These sisters had a doctorate. They had a doctorate. And I'm looking at them like, you do realize you're talking about somebody who's sleeping with a married man. Well, that's because there ain't no good black men out here. But yeah, so I agree with you, media images, but I say it crossed the gamut of developmental stages. Because the thing about it is, when I was teaching at Chicago State, I taught an intro to psych class. One of the things I used to do is I used to put up 2 images. I used to put up an image of Alicia Keys and an image of India Ari. And I would ask all the guys, write down on a piece of paper which one of these 2 women you would date. And for the women, I put up an image of Shamar Moore. I put up an image of Shamar Moore, and I put up an image of Dave Chappelle. And I say, which one would you date? They're like, that's not fair, that's not fair. Why couldn't you put up Idris Elba? Excuse me. Why couldn't you put up more Chester? Because I didn't want to. But the thing about it is like, you will still see that the funny thing about it is still that system of colorism. Because when you look, even if you watch my favorite director, Tyler Perry, if you ever watch his movies, the dark-skinned black man was always the bad guy. And the light-skinned black male was always the savior. Right? Besides that whole thing about him running around in a dress. But I digress. But what you'll find is that you'll find that, even if you talk to brothers and sisters in our age, they'll say, that's really how my family is. My big mama acts just like my dear.
Yeah.
You admitted that? So it goes all across the spectrum. I had one person in my class say their family acted like me. But what I'm saying is those images get ingrained in us. So it's like I remember watching a little thing on the show Good Times, and it was talking about why the lady who played Florida Evans, why she quit, because she thought it became a minstrel show. Because what they did was, you watched the development of the show, the character JJ became more and more buffoon, right? And so like it took away the quality of the show. So like even if one of the most powerful shows of TV, as far as the black community is concerned, is The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But see, even with that show, what you start finding is that there still had some symbols of buffoonery in it, because it was like Will used to always make fun of Carlton because this whole thing of you're not black enough. So it's like, and then what you have is you have people internalize those things. So it's like you write, you do start off at a younger age, but unfortunately, unless there's some type of intervention, they get older and they still internalize those. So if there's some kind of intervention saying, no, we need to stop this, that's not accurate. Still go on. So it's like you can even do the car study with people that's 30 years old, have 2 dogs, and say which one's the prettiest, the black one or the white one. And you'll find a whole lot of black people that's 30 struggling not to pick that white one. They'll pick the black one. And you ask them why, they're like, because they're black. In actuality, beauty is beauty.
beauty transcends all cultures. But see, even if they pick the black one, what they're really telling you is that they've been so dominated by the media images that they reversing it and going back to just beauty is just black. But see, when you really think about it, everyone in here is beautiful. Especially if you look at it as a cultural context, everybody in here is beautiful. There's no such thing as ugly. Any more questions? Thank you for helping me wake up this morning.